Today, we're putting the Polestar 4 through one of the hardest tests we do here on the channel. One of the main goals of this test is to complete the 615-kilometer route with the shortest charging time possible. But this test is so much more than that, because it is designed to expose weaknesses and flaws of an EV in ways few tests do. And guys, my god, are we going to open up a can of worms with the Polestar 4, because we're going to expose issue after issue, and in the end, I end up having to abort the test premature due to one of these issues. But before we set off, you may have seen we have a new starting point, and that is because of our new charging sponsor, Ragde Charger, and their tagline is God energi hele veien. Their parent company, Ragde Eiendom, own over 300 properties across Norway, and their goal is to charge all of their 30 charging locations with solar panels. If that's not the definition of good and clean energy, I don't know what is. To find your closest Ragde Charger, go to the link down below. As soon as I hit 100%, I disconnected from the charger and I was quickly on the road. Moving my way west out of Oslo and then south towards Kristiansand, the weather got colder, more cloudy, and there was even a little snow in the air and slush on the road. You joined me after about an hour battling this car's ADAS systems, and you're about to hear my frustration. Not a good way to start the day. Oh, and by the way, guys, if you have your own company, you can actually get a discount at Ragde Charger. So go to the link down below, fill out the form, send it in, and see if you can get a great discount at Ragde Charger. So I made a few videos on this Polestar 4 already, and my biggest issue with this car has been the software, especially the adaptive driver assistance systems that, in my opinion, is far from being finished and nowhere near being polished like other cars I've tested recently, where it just works and it is flawless and you can trust the car. In this car, it's been an issue since day one, since I first reviewed the Polestar 4 back in late August, early September. This car has the latest software update that should have addressed a lot of those issues. So this has the software 4.1.10, but it is far from perfect, as you saw in my last video and also in my range test. The biggest issue with this is that passing trucks in the left lane, sometimes the car is very nervous and will just slow down. And also engaging the driver assistance systems, it's very slow to engage many times, and there's just an annoying delay where the car just becomes very unrefined to drive. But today, going on this long trip test, there's also a new issue that I have been experiencing, and that is when you change lanes while using pilot assist. And the thing is, what the car does is that, of course, when you're going to change lanes and you're driving on pilot assist, the car lets go of the lane centering, right? And sometimes it feels like it just lets go, like there's a lock. It just lets it go. But more than not, when you go into the left or right lane from one of the other lanes, the car will almost lock into the lane. It feels very unnatural. It's not a smooth engagement. It's like locks. It is very unnerving sometimes. But the worst thing, and I'm going to pass this bus here now, and we're going to go into the right lane, is, of course, when you change lanes, it will let go of the lane centering, of course, or else it wouldn't let you change lanes. So now it does that, and now it was fine. And then you stop the indicator, and then the car now centers. But what it does now, it bounces in the lane. So now it didn't go over the line marker, but sometimes it will do that, go over the line markers. And here in Norway, the line markers have like grooves, so the car will shake. And it's just very unnerving. The car is just very nervous, and it really doesn't know what it wants to do. So let's go into the left lane again here. Let's see if it engages, and now it's fine, but more than not, I've experienced the car bouncing back and forth. And you may be thinking, well, Chris, why don't you just, counter steer? Well, if you do that, first off, there's a lot of resistance. It doesn't feel natural, like with an Audi or a Porsche or a Volkswagen or many other cars. You're allowed to steer within the auto steer. You have a little bit of play where you can center the car, and the car lets you, steer a little bit. But with this, it doesn't. It just holds the car very firmly. And what happens if you try to center it, like there, it just cancels it. Did you see how little I counter steer there? It just canceled auto steer completely. Most of the times it will just cancel, it canceled pilot assist, it canceled adaptive cruise, and because we're in one pedal drive, the car lurches forward. What it does sometimes, it just lets go of the auto steer. You still have adaptive cruise. But there, it just gave up completely, which is very, very unpredictable and not safe at all. And what I'm showing you here is not even close to being the worst. When it was the worst, like maybe half an hour up the road, it was bouncing in between the lanes and I was counter steering, it was canceling. It was just impossible to use. So I want to talk about this early in the video because as this works per now, it is very, very bad. It is not good at all. And by far one of the worst adaptive cruise, advanced driver assistance systems implementations in any car I've driven the past year. As we make our way closer and closer to Kristiansand, the consumption dropped down to just below 25 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers and stayed around there, even though the weather got better and the sun popped out. And aside from all the software issues, I was actually able to enjoy the Polestar's great Harman Kardon sound system and infotainment. Okay guys, we are now approaching our halfway point right outside of Kristiansand. So as we said at the beginning of the video, we have a different starting point in this video because we have a new charting sponsor. So we're starting closer to Oslo, and that means we don't have to go as far to cover the same length. Actually, we're covering a length that is a little bit longer in this new route, but I don't think it's going to affect the results at all because it's like 0.7 or 0.8% longer this route. But it's also going to make, the trip a little bit more flexible because we don't have to go into Kristiansand. If we did that now, we would hit rush hour traffic and that would, skew with the results. So that's why it's better starting a different place and then ending or turning around outside of downtown Kristiansand. So I actually think this route is better. So we're here after about 300 kilometers and our average consumption is 25.1 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, which isn't great. That is actually quite high, and also according to the wind map, we have a tailwind on our way down here between 3 and 2 meters per second. And that means, if that's correct, our consumption is going to be higher once we get back to where we started. So yeah, it's really going to be interesting to see how far we're going to be able to go now before we have to stop and charge. Where I really wanted to go to get the furthest was to the Ionity charging station in Brokelandsheia, where we stopped many times because that's the charging station where there's usually very little traffic. Those chargers can deliver 350 kilowatts and it's a really nice point to stop. But according to the car, we're gonna arrive there with minus 1%. Yeah, it's not looking promising. So our backup is to stop at the Ragde Chargers in Stua, where we stopped many times before they were a sponsor here on the channel. So it's really nice to have them as a sponsor because that's a really nice place to stop also. Those chargers can deliver up to 240 kilowatts, and this car can take a maximum speed of 200 kilowatts. But there is another issue with the Polestar 4, and that is with the latest software update, the software 4.1.10 or 4.1.10, there is no preconditioning with this software because of an unpredicted bug. And also this car should also have a head-up display, which doesn't work either. So yeah, I don't think we're going to be able to set a very good charging time or get a high charging speed. So it doesn't really matter going that far. So I think we're going to stop at the Ragde Chargers because we're probably not going to get more than 100 kilowatts, I'm guessing, because it's like 4 degrees Celsius outside. So yeah, but according to the car, we're going to be able to go there and arrive there with 10% state charge. So I think that is our best bet today, going to the Ragde Chargers in Stua, which is about 40 kilometers from here. We're soon going to exit right over here to go to the Ragde Chargers in Stua. But before I do that, I just want to share a few positive things about this Polestar 4 because I feel like all of my videos have been very negative, and that is only because I think it's very important to highlight the major issues and flaws with this car before anybody goes out and buys one. so you know about it. But those are software issues, most of them, and I'm pretty sure they're going to be fixed sometime in the future, but I can't review a car or test a car based on future promises that nobody knows, not even Polestar knows when it's going to be updated and fixed, like the head-up display and the battery preconditioning. Polestar don't even have a date, so how can I be confident in the product going to be improved and when, right? So when we were going there on the motorway, we've now exited. The car is very quiet, it's super quiet. Even on 22-inch wheels, there's very minimal road noise and tire noise. And if you compare this something to an Audi Q6 e-tron, I think this is a lot quieter. And also, even though this is on 22-inch wheels, the suspension tuning is very soft and compliant. This car has adaptive dampers, so you have 3 settings. And the steering feel, though it is maybe on the lighter side, even in the most heavy setting, I think there's actually great feedback and feel, though off-center, it's not the most inspiring, right? And also, this being the dual motor performance, it is very powerful, it is very quick. I don't prefer driving it in the range mode, but I use it in range mode now for this range test or this long trip test, but driving the car in performance mode is very responsive. The interior is really nice and roomy. These seats are great. I love the infotainment system. There are so many things to love about this car, and maybe that's why I'm so pressing on the issues that are not good, as the software, the advanced driver assistance systems. So yeah, so again, we're now going to connect here, go to the charger, and because we don't have preconditioning, I'm not expecting this car to get a high speed at all. Okay guys, we've now stopped here at the Ragde Chargers here at Stua. And the Polestar 4 has an electronically operated charging port. And what we're going to do here, so we're going to choose to start, and then we're going to choose this charger. And what you can do here is that you can pay with your card, or because I have a Ragde charging card, because they are the sponsor of this video, I can use the RFID chip. There we go. Okay. So let's connect to the charger. So we're out here with 9% stated charge, average consumption right below 25 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. And we traveled 352 kilometers before we stopped here with 38 kilometers range left. So that means we could have gone 390 kilometers. So as I predicted, I don't think we're gonna get any good charging speed at all. And what's cool while we're waiting for this to ramp up is that all of these chargers have different names. So this one is called Ella, this one is called Lena, and then you have Trond over there, you have My Helene, which is pretty cool. So we are now charging. So let's press this to see what kind of charging speed we're getting. And we're getting 140 kilowatts. Okay, that is not too bad. That is actually not too bad. I was expecting us to get a lot lower speed than that. I mean, it's not 200 kilowatts or 205 that this car can peak at, but that is because the preconditioning is not working. And now it's going down to 133. So hopefully that won't throttle too badly. So the car wanted us to go to 89% stated charge and arrive in our endpoint back at the Ragde Chargers in Ullevål with 30% stated charge, which is way too much. So the car said we will need 49% stated charge to get back to our starting point. So I think we're gonna have a little bit of a buffer, because on our way down, I think the car in the beginning said we were gonna ride with 29% at our turnaround point, and we arrived with 22 or 23. So I think we're gonna go to maybe 55 or 60, and then we're gonna correct the charging time at the end of the video, as we have done in the last few videos, because we're now correcting them. So we arrive with 0% stated charge. So all results are much closer in comparison. We can compare them much closer. As soon as we had a buffer of 10%, I disconnected and we were once again on our way. Since we ate up 7% of our buffer southward on our way to our halfway point, I thought a 10% buffer for the remaining 260 kilometers would be sufficient. But as we got deeper and deeper into the last leg, that buffer kept getting smaller and smaller, until it was so small I was forced to abort. Once again, this car's software is the cause of insecurity. We've got 1% of battery left with 7 kilometers of range according to the car. but we have about 17 kilometers to go, and the car says we're gonna ride with minus 3%. And now, full throttle, going a little bit uphill, and we basically don't have any power. So I don't know how we can go 6 kilometers, if even 17. Like, that is insane. So what is approaching right up here is where we usually stop at the recharge chargers in SO and Stavanger, and I think I just have to abort, guys. I don't dare to go any further. 592 kilometers on the odometer. Yeah, I think we're gonna just have to abort here, because I cannot risk trying to go 16 kilometers, even though the car says we have 5 kilometers of range left. We just have no power at all. But we don't have any turtle mode. That is so weird. Look at that, guys. That's full throttle. The car's going so slow. Yeah, I don't understand anything. Okay, look at this, guys. Full throttle, going 29 kilometers an hour. That's full throttle. It is so slow, and this is downhill. So yeah, I don't know. I don't trust this car at all being able to go 4 kilometers now, right? Yeah, I think we're basically out of juice. So we're gonna stop here, and yeah, we're gonna wrap up this long trip test. So guys, today things didn't go according to plan. Not even close. Not even close to as I was hoping. I was really hoping to be able to go back to the Ragde Chargers in Ullevål, where we started today's test. I didn't plan to exit here and charge here. But with 17 kilometers to go according to the GPS, and 4 kilometers of range, 1% stated charge, you guys saw we basically had no power. So I don't think we would have been able to get anywhere close to where we started. So I thought the best was just to exit here, where I know we can charge and I know we could get here. Usually with this power, we're here with like -1 or -2% stated charge. But yeah, like, I had no confidence in this car at all being able to go any further. Not even maybe to a charger 2-3 kilometers up the road. I didn't dare taking that chance. But guys, I charged in Stua until the car said we would arrive here with 10% stated charge. And when we went down to our halfway point, when we left the Ragde Chargers in Ullevål, the car said we would arrive with 29% stated charge. We arrived with like 22. So that's a difference of 7%. But we had a tailwind on our way down, and I was really hoping that 10% buffer would have been enough, even with that headwind. But not even close, not even close. So there's not only issues with the ADAS in this car, the Advanced Driver Assistance Systems, there's also issues with the calibration of the route planner, which cannot be trusted. So, I mean, I love this car, but for me, as it is now, I can't trust the route planner, not even with a tailwind, not even on a route where I've driven more than 100 times. I test all the cars, and I can't trust and rely on the ADAS system. Yeah, I'm really disappointed, because I really want this car to perform well. I really like this car. But yeah, let's do the results here. So we actually arrived here and we had 17 kilometers to go. So if we're to trust the -3% the car said we were going to arrive with, that means charging 3% extra. So we actually charged to 69% for a total of 31 minutes. The last minutes, from like 60%, every percent took about a minute. So I think we can safely assume that going that 3% extra would have added 3 minutes. Maybe that is even generous, but I think 3 minutes is quite accurate. And at that means charging for 33 minutes. Yeah. And that is also due to this car not having preconditioning because of the latest software with that bug. So there are a lot of software issues with this car. There's no apologizing for anything, because even if you excuse one thing like the ADAS, you still have the preconditioning not working, you still have the head-up display not working. And when you regard all of that, you still can't trust your route planner, even with a tailwind. So for me, even though I love this car, and it will get better, but when? We don't know. If you're looking to buy an electric car now, like if you want to take delivery within the next week or 2 weeks or even a month, even though I love this car, it's hard for me to recommend this car, guys. That's just the reality of the situation. And we have to treat this car like we do with every other car. We have to look at the positives, we have to look at the negatives, and even weighing all the positives about this car, again, I really love this car. The negatives are just overwhelming at this point in time. I wouldn't feel confident traveling and trusting many of the systems here as things are now. Yes, you can compensate for the route planner not being accurate, and you can, you can compensate for that. You can also think about the ADA system getting better, but it's still it's annoying to use. Like every time I engage it, it just became more and more annoying. And all of these issues just compile and make this car an experience that is just not pleasurable as the car is now. And guys, I don't mean to be negative, but it is hard to be positive with this product as is. So guys, let me know what you think down below. Do you think I am too harsh? Do you think I'm too lenient? Do I think I'm not harsh enough? Let me know down below. So guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please drop me a thumbs up down below. And for more car content, as always, please subscribe. See you guys later and goodbye.